What's up guys, Kara Corey here. Welcome back to the channel. I am going to do a Q&A for you guys. I posted a photo on the Instagram this weekend, my new Target bikini, and told you guys to ask me anything you wanted. So you guys left me a bunch of questions. I'm gonna try not to ramble too bad and see if I can get through as many as possible. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you like Q&As, be sure to hit that like button, as well as make sure you guys are subscribed. And if you want, you can hit the notification bell, which is going to just alert you guys the moment that I post a video. So hit those buttons and let's dive right into this Q&A. First question is, do you think you'll ever get another dog? And the answer to that question, I believe, is yes. I know Jason and I both wanted another dog. Ever since we got Bruce, we've thought about getting another dog. I used to want a big and a little, and now that I have my big, I just want another big. I'm obsessed with large breed dogs now. So I would love to get another Cane Corso. Maybe we're just kind of waiting till things are right. Like when Jason starts working from home, it might be easier. But at the same time, with having such a large dog, we may need a bigger home. So I'm not really sure yet, but I think we definitely will be getting another dog in the future. Do you have to deal with negativity from your coworkers regarding you exposing some aspects of your life with YouTube? I think that's a really interesting question. And I'm gonna be totally honest. I think I'm really good at separating my professional day job from YouTube. I'm surprisingly a very private person, I feel like, which it may not seem like that for those of you just watching me on YouTube, but those close to me I think would know I'm a fairly private person. And so when I'm at work, I don't talk about the YouTubes. And I know though, people at work do know I'm on YouTube. There was a local newspaper article on my YouTube a while ago, so I know there's a lot of people at work who are very familiar with the fact that I do YouTube. I post pictures on Instagram, you know, but I can't say I actually get any negativity to my face, at least. I'm sure people say things behind my back. I'm sure people say things, but no one has said anything to my face. The only thing I've had people say to me are like, oh, you do videos, right? Or I've had some people come to me at work and tell me they actually really enjoyed my videos and found them helpful. I've had other people say they knew I did videos and wanted help with like some recipe ideas. So the only people that actually have had the courage to approach me about my YouTube have only had positive things to say, but I'm sure there's negativity there. I don't care. Like when I go to work, I don't talk about it. I don't let people know, like when they're like, oh, how was your weekend? If anyone even asks, I don't really answer and talk about what I did for YouTubes, even though it's a big part of my life. So I haven't really had to experience much of that. I'm very fortunate. It's something that I've always been very cognizant about, very mindful about. Being a professional, you know, I have gotten a lot of hate online for it in terms of like how I speak and some of the videos I make on this channel. However, I truly feel like you can separate the two. I'm allowed to have this part of my life that I feel like it shouldn't impact the work that I do in my day job, if that makes sense. Next question says, how do you cycle on and off fat burners, and are they safe? In a nutshell, I can't generally say yes, fat burners are safe. I, for the most part, don't recommend to a lot of the clients that I work with taking a fat burner, and that might be weird because you guys know I have my own supplement line with Fitburn, and that's gonna be wrapped into Provitum. I've talked about that previously if you guys checked out my supplements video, but yeah, I don't take one normally. Even in competition prep, I don't usually take one until like the last 8 weeks of a competition prep, or say if I'm doing a strict cut, which I am cutting now, but I haven't been incorporating a fat burner. That's just kind of something extra I add in as kind of a last resort type thing if you're really struggling with appetite and cravings. And so it's not that I don't ever recommend them, I do. So to answer the first part of the question, are they safe? Well, they're not all safe. Supplements are not typically regulated by the FDA, so you need to make sure if you are going to take one, you're taking one from a brand that you trust, that has quality ingredients that you believe are truly in there, because again, it's not regulated, which is why I strictly only take things that Mark Lobliner puts his stamp of approval on, because he gets everything tested and I 100% trust him with everything that he makes. So you have to educate yourself, and you have to take responsibility for finding a great product. You know, just because some Joe Schmo sends you an email and wants you to try their supplement that you've never heard of before, I'd be very weary of that, because you don't know what's in there. So be skeptical with any supplements. You can be skeptical with my supplements. I encourage you to. You need to be an advocate for what you're putting into your body, and you have to take responsibility at the end of the day if you put something in there that's not good, or it's not what you thought it was. So in terms of cycling off them, yes, I usually never take a fat burner. When I have taken them, I take it for like 8 weeks. And so the last time I really took it consistently was for my last competition last year. I took it for 8 weeks towards the end. And then the second I was done competing, I stopped it. I cycled off. So I think it's good to never take a fat burner longer than 8 weeks, and cycle off for at least 8 weeks, if not longer. You know, you don't want to be on a fat burner all the time, because fat burners, most of them are comprised of a lot of caffeine. So that's a consideration there. How much caffeine are you pumping into your body, in addition to any other caffeine you may consume during the day? So in terms of safety there, you also need to be concerned with your caffeine threshold and how much you're consuming, how it's making you feel, if it's down regulating anything else in your body, all those other concerns. So that's my answer in a long-winded nutshell. Okay, hey girl, I've got a question. Do you ever feel the pressure to go more plant-based? Thanks. I think a couple of people asked me that, because in my talk about inflammation, gut health, I spoke a lot about the evidence there for plant-based diets in terms of being anti-inflammatory. So I don't feel pressure to go fully plant-based though. Like I just, that's not a pressure I feel. When I read research like that, it just kind of reinforces in my mind that it's good to make sure you're including plant-based foods and plant-based choices in your diet, and that you don't have to be eating meal 1 through 6 and it has to be a 4-ounce portion of animal protein. Like it doesn't need to be that way. So I know for me personally, I was a vegetarian for 12 years. I don't know, like a really long time. I was vegetarian, and I didn't feel good. I was extremely anemic, extremely low energy, and that was even with trying to make sure I was being the best vegetarian I could be in terms of what I was consuming, to make sure I was getting all the proper vitamins, minerals, etc. When I switched over to eating animal protein again, that was the best I had ever felt. So while I know vegans don't like hearing that, I'm not against a vegan lifestyle. I 100% support it. I think it's great if you're doing it right. For me personally though, I don't feel it's what works best for my body to make me feel the healthiest. However, I think it's important for those of us that even do still eat meat to make sure we are making some plant-based choices and trying to eat as much as we can plant-based, and limiting certain things. I love my red meat, but you don't need to be eating it 3 times a day every day of the week. Things like that. Red meat can be unfortunately pro-inflammatory, which bums me out. I like steak, but again, I only eat red meat like once a week, so I just balance it out and I do what works best for me, so I don't really feel any pressure there. Sorry if the angle changed, guys. Had to do a battery change quick and get some hydration. Okay, next question. I had a couple people ask about this post-show weight gain. How do you emotionally, how did you get comfortable with gaining weight post-show and being comfortable where you're at? You should do a series on tips on YouTube. Well, I do feel like I've done quite a bit of that this past year. With getting comfortable with gaining weight post-show, it's a really hard place to be, because I think a lot of people don't necessarily, it's hard to explain how your body feels to someone who hasn't gone through it. My last shows last year, I feel like I was very aware and cautious of how I was gonna feel post-show. I was really nervous about it because I wanted to do a better job with my reverse than I had done the previous year, where I kind of fell off track and gained weight quicker than I had wanted to. So this past year when I competed and started gaining weight post-show, how to get comfortable with it? Gosh, it's hard. You just have to keep reminding yourself that to me, that stage look is only meant to be for that day. And as great as it looks and as cool as it is to get all the pictures with all the shreds, it's not maintainable. So for me to maintain that healthy mindset post-show while I was gaining weight, it was important for me to not be like posting throwbacks every single day of my show pics, or kind of staring at my show pics too much. And because if I did, you kind of feel like, well, oh, I don't look like that anymore. But that's okay. So if you need to take a step back from social media to feel more comfortable with yourself, then do it. I just quickly took on the focus of wanting to make sure I wasn't focusing on my leanness. I was just focusing on my health. And am I gaining weight at a healthy pace? Or am I doing things that are healthy? Am I gaining weight because I'm reversing and I should be gaining weight? Or am I gaining weight because I'm eating like an asshole? So it's two different things there. I feel more comfortable gaining weight if I'm just gaining weight because I'm reversing, decreasing my cardio, eating more calories as I should be. Whereas if I'm eating like an asshole, I'm not gonna be comfortable with gaining weight because you have that guilt associated with it. So just trying to be mindful of what you're doing to your body and trying to remember to be kind to your body during that time and kind to yourself. Your self-esteem can take such a toll if you're sitting there in your mind beating yourself up about not having the shreds anymore and I can't see my abs and I feel bloated. And you do. Like, I think truly, no matter how good of a job you do after your show with reversing, you tend to feel a little bit like bloated and your body just doesn't feel right. So just understand and be patient with the fact that it's going to take a while to shift back into normalcy and that homeostasis post-show. It's tough, man. It's real tough. And I tell competitors, before you get into a show, be ready for the post-show. Make sure you can handle the post-show before you decide to do a show, because sometimes that can be the harder part. What are your best lunch/snack ideas for packing to work? I'm feeling bored. Oh, that's such a typical question, and I totally relate because I get bored super easily as well. I don't know if this is like the best idea, but my favorite meal that I've been eating almost every day of the week for lunch that I love packing to work because it's super easy, it's super filling, and it's got good nutrition to it, good macronutrient split, is jasmine rice. I love jasmine rice. I always have a portion of jasmine rice with some slow cooked chicken. I always do crock pot chicken on the weekend. That way we have it for meals for work. Super simple. You shred it up. So I do jasmine rice with crock pot chicken. I usually do half or a whole avocado I slice in there. I'll also add in some vegetables to it. I usually do sweet bell, the mini sweet bell peppers or tomatoes. And then I will add either some, I'm a big condiments gal. I feel that's a deal breaker. You can really keep the same meal, but switch it up with all the fun condiments to keep it interesting. I like the Trader Joe's Sriracha Ranch on top, or I get the sugar-free teriyaki dressing. That is my favorite meal, hands down, that I keep bringing to work. Favorite snack, I also like to do like Joseph's pita wraps that I'll do some chunk light tuna fish in there with a little light Miracle Whip. That's always a really filling meal or snack if I need something. Also just been doing like fruit, like a different fruit, yogurt, pretty basic. I don't know if that really spices it up any for you. I think I'm kind of a boring eater lately. As myself going back to like focusing on health, I'm trying to be more mindful of choosing more whole foods and keeping it pretty basic. But hasn't been boring for me. I've actually been really enjoying it. So this is kind of a good question. I don't know if I've heard this answered before. What's one of the hardest things about being a coach? That's really tough. There's a lot of hard things about being a coach. It's very rewarding, but it's also difficult because you just want people to be successful and see their true potential. And so my job is to help those that I work with to really see their own potential. And if they don't know what it is yet, trying to kind of sort through and figure that out, all while working towards their goals and not getting bogged down with progress. I think that's the number one thing with clients is if they don't see progress quick enough, they get really bogged down with it, myself included. So it's really trying to help keep people in that positive mind state. And so it's tough when you hear people struggling, when you know they're doing everything they need to be doing and and they want to see more. That's just that's kind of part of the struggle for all of us though. So that's tough. I mean, I want everyone to basically at the end of the day have great results and have a great coaching experience with me. So ultimately, if someone doesn't feel that way, then that's hard. Also, I would say the hardest thing too with competitor coaching in particular is if you have clients that compete and don't have a good competition experience. I can say this past year, most of the clients I've had, I don't think I've had anyone with everyone's had a really great experience on the stage. And that just makes my heart so happy as a coach that at the end of it, that they can say that regardless of the placing, that they truly enjoyed the experience, that they learned a lot about themselves and had a good experience. But I've had clients that haven't had good experiences on show day, that didn't have a good experience with the venue or the promoter or the people backstage, or things get screwed up. And that's hard as a coach when you want to be there to make sure everything goes perfect for them. But that's, again, with competing, stuff can go wrong. So it's always challenging because you just want things to go smoothly. You want people to be happy, but I do the best I can. Ultimately, I really enjoy coaching. It's not something that really I find that I have a lot of challenges with. I don't know if that makes sense, but where did you and Shredded Jesus get married, and what was your wedding like? Well, Shredded Jesus and I are coming up to our 10-year wedding anniversary in October, so it was a minute ago that we got married, but we did get married in Geneva, New York, which is about an hour from where we currently live. And we got married at a place called Belhurst Castle. So if anyone's in the need for a wedding venue, it's absolutely stunning. It is a legit castle in the winery area in New York. It's so beautiful there. It's on the water. We had a perfect wedding day. We got married outside, which was both something Jason and I wanted to do. We both really liked the idea of being married outdoors. And it was October 10th. And everyone thought we were crazy that we were getting married outdoors in October. We ended up having the most perfect weather. And I remember it was forecasting for rain and I was getting all freaked out. But it ended up being beautiful. It was 70 degrees on the dot with a light breeze. So no one was outside sweating or dying. We had a pretty quick ceremony. And then they did hors d'oeuvres outside. We did our photos and then we went inside and had the reception and just danced the night away with all our friends. Well, I danced the night away. Jason's not much of a dancer, but we had, I can't remember if I shared this or not, but Jason was so sweet and agreed to do dance lessons with me. This is one of my favorite memories. We signed up and did dance lessons. I forget how many sessions we did, but we picked our wedding song and they helped us create a dance to our wedding song. And we didn't I don't think we told anyone actually that we were doing that dance. So when they played our song, we came out and we did our whole little choreographed dance. People were crying and sobbing, and I'm actually getting cold chills right now just talking about it because I'm a total goober, but it was just the best memory ever. It was so much fun. It was so out of Jason's comfort zone and even mine. I mean, I like to think I can dance, but basically all I do is this and the butterfly. But it was just so sweet and perfect and such an amazing memory. But we literally just had the best wedding. And I'm not even just saying that. A lot of the people who went to our wedding, even now, almost 10 years later, tell us how amazing our wedding was. So yeah, I could go on and on about that one though. Could you be any more hotter? Duh, yeah, I could not have friggin' pimples on my face. Probably be hotter if I didn't have those. Hi. Do you always track macros or do you cut yourself some slack from time to time? That's a great question. I currently as I'm trying to be more structured with the world's slowest cut, I am tracking my macros pretty meticulously. However, I will say that as a whole, in a nutshell, I've been tracking macros for a long time. I absolutely cut myself some slack. If I'm ever at a point, and I've been here before, where I'm starting to feel stressed with tracking macros, then that's usually when I just need like a couple days off to just eat. And when I say just to eat and not track, that doesn't mean to stuff my face with everything and anything, but sometimes if you're getting stressed by it, it's good to just take a step back from the numbers, eat a bit more intuitively if you feel comfortable with that, and then go back to your business. So I've done that before where I just need a day or two to eat how I want and not worry about if I'm fitting it into the macrograms. At this stage right now, I am tracking pretty carefully. You know, we're in July now and I'm working on those summer goals still. But yeah, that would be my recommendation if anyone is struggling with the tracking. But cut yourself some slack, it's all good. YOLO that shit. This is a good question. If you didn't work in healthcare as a registered dietitian, I actually work in healthcare as a business officer. I know it gets kind of confusing, but that's not the point, right? And couldn't be a trainer of any kind. So basically, if I couldn't be a dietitian, I couldn't be a trainer, what would you choose for your new career and why? That's like a hard question because I guess I've never envisioned myself doing anything different, but I would say two things come to mind quickly for me. One is possibly being a teacher, but again, my mind goes to being a teacher for nutrition. So working at a university, being a professor, is kind of something I could envision myself doing, so I don't know if that counts because it's still dietitian-y. The other thing I could see myself doing is being a doctor, and in particular, being a psychiatrist. And the reason why I say that is more so because from working at a state psychiatric facility for over 10 years now, I just have such a huge passion in me for the patients that we serve, and it still sickens me, the stigma that's attached to mental health and mental illness and how poorly some of these people are treated. And the patients at that job are the best part of working at my job. And I don't even work with them that directly anymore, but I will literally go to the cash office to hand people money because I want to interact with them because I love them that much. So I guess I could see myself maybe going into psychiatry to better assist and help people because there is just such a need. I did as a kid want to be a doctor because this is gonna sound kind of sick and twisted, but I loved watching my dad cut things up. I always loved it when he would catch fish and then I would watch him fillet the fish and cut all the stuff out, and I would have him tell me each and everything that was inside the fish. I was always oddly fascinated with fish insides, but I don't know. So I would like to think that I would be smart enough or capable enough to be a doctor but that's still healthcare. I can't help it, guys. I want to help people. That's definitely one thing in this world I am sure about. I was put here. That is one of my things that I am good at, and that's helping people in one way or another. So not a very wild answer, but maybe I would be a stripper. My stripper name would be Tinsel.
Cara do porn.
No, I would not. Oh, okay. This is gonna be the last question, you guys, because I didn't want this to get too long, and knowing how much I ramble, it's already gotten too long, so I'm gonna answer this last question. If you guys, I have a ton more questions on here. If you enjoy this style video and you want me to do another one, I will film a second part and answer all the rest of the questions that are on my post. So be sure to give this a like and let me know in the comments below if you would like me to do a part 2. Let me know if you want me to do a number 2, okay? Because that's not nasty. All right, last question is, would you ever run your own private dietitian practice? I'm not sure if this is even something dietitians do. Yes, that is actually not a huge, the majority of dietitians, the split, are in your healthcare, acute care setting, so hospitals, nursing homes, etc. But there is a high percentage of folks too that do run their own private practice. That is absolutely on my list of goals. That's something that I am still working towards and struggle with, because it's hard to have the balance when I commit so much time and energy to my day job, which is not being a dietitian. It's hard for me to find that balance between that and my coaching business that I do currently have, how to translate that all into just running my own business, because I would love to, I don't want to just be an online coach. I'm a registered dietitian. I like speaking, I like talking, I like having those face-to-face interactions. I find go so much further with assisting people and clients. I've always loved teaching and doing groups and classes. So like, I always envision setting up my business where I'm still doing the online piece, but I also have my own business where people come in and I do seminars, or I do cooking demos, and I do all those things that I love to better help people and to reach more people and have a greater impact. So haven't quite figured out how to put it all into action yet, but that is still the goal. That is one of my major goals, so maybe someday. So that is going to conclude this Q&A. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys engaging with me on my Instagram and asking me questions. It was a lot of fun. So if you guys want to see a second Q&A, be sure to comment below. I hope you enjoyed it, and I love you all. Bye.